have got our man Levi, and we have got our man Scott. These are two dudes. They're maybe brothers at this point. That's their official title, is just two dudes that are maybe brothers. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is kind of a big day, right?
Big day?
Yeah.
You
could say that.
Yeah, it's a Monday, which sucks, but it's like at the end of this, you could be brothers. Is one of you super rich or something? Could the other one like take a bunch of money, or are you both kind of just neutral?
Are you
Let's
rich?
just say one of us needs a kidney really bad.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the hunt happened. Well, let's kind of start from the beginning here and tell the story. Like, Levi, you got a hold of us because Scott got a hold of you, catfish style.
Right.
How did you feel, Scott? Like at the beginning, because that's got to be weird. You got to assume that he might not immediately think like, oh yeah, this guy might be my brother.
It's the first response, I'm like, hey, my name is Scott, you're not going to believe this, and he's just like, go away.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, okay, my hands are shaking, I'm trying to get the messaging across, I'm trying to like, all right, this is the guy. I know this is the guy. See a picture of him, it's got to be it. And,
what made you all of a sudden, like, what was obviously, you've lived a life without knowing this. Like, what made you realize he might be the brother? Was there some, like, piece of evidence you found?
Yeah, I went through, it was a really closed adoption. I was adopted. It was a really closed deal. And I had to go through a lot of work to get different paperwork from the courts. And we're talking, this was, 37 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's the place I was born is now a hotel. All the doctors and lawyers that dealt with it are all retired or dead or anything else. I found this one, made this one call, and this lady went through this one box of paperwork, and I found one sheet on it that had both of my birth parents' names, which she said was like practically impossible to find. She said, you're just really lucky to do that. I set up a Facebook page a couple of years ago. My wife's like, just do it and see what happens. 24 hours later, I'm talking to my birth mother.
Oh, wow.
I found that side of the family, and I kind of went through absorbing that whole amount of information, and meeting everybody on that side. And I actually have two brothers over on that side that I found. And then it came back around to where Levi's dad was much harder to find. He wasn't really on social media at all. Just started recently, and so I came across this old wedding announcement that had his name in it, and I saw a picture of Levi, and I'm like, oh man, all right. So I look, and of course Levi's on Facebook. He's much easier to find, so I found him, went through a couple of pictures, and I'm like, all right,
yeah, well,
let's message this guy and get this going, because I'm pretty sure this is something. But how do you say that? I mean, that was
exactly.
Hey, by the way, because you deal with scenarios your whole life. Has anybody been told? Is there brothers, sisters? Are there spouses? Are there anything else? That you go through a lot of scenarios and you never quite anticipate what's actually going to happen.
Exactly. And what about you, Levi? Like, what did you know there was a chance you had a brother, or was this totally out of left field for you?
It was a total surprise. To be honest with you, I thought about this after I had talked to Scott and everything. My dad was actually in town a week to the day before Scott got a hold of me, and he actually did mention it in passing, and I'd forgotten about it. We took my daughter to like an Easter egg hunt. He goes, offhand, he just goes, so there's a rumor going around on Facebook that I've got an illegitimate son. And I kind of stop and look at him, and he goes, it's total BS. And we just laughed it off. I forgot about it. Uh-huh. And then this happens a week later. But no, it was never a thought. It never occurred to me, all the history my parents had talked about. Nothing like this had ever come up. And so I'm always a big believer in, if you contact me and I don't know who you are, leave me alone. I'm going to block you. Get away from me. So it was definitely a shock. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
it blew my mind.
And so you've spoken to your dad before. Have you talked to him since? Now that there's have you said like, hey, that guy that you said is BS. He might be here, and I might know who he is.
Absolutely, yeah. And actually, I just talked to him this weekend, and I came to him and I was like, hey, this guy's contacted me. I looked at his picture. It looks like us. The story matches up. He's got documents, and my dad, for lack of a better term, didn't really cop up to it, but he goes, yeah, I guess it could be. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you guess? Like,
it could have been.
Did you have relations with her? Yeah. All right. So
it's all the pieces of the puzzle are there. Like he's
Right.
not saying it's putting together, but he's saying like, yeah, it could have happened.
right, and he won't cop up to it 100%, and so there's still that little bit of doubt, little bit of possibility that it's not.
What do you think when we have the DNA test here? Do you think if it shows that he is your brother for sure, that your dad will own up to it, or do you think it's still going to be a fun battle?
I think it'll be a battle. I hope so, because I want him to be the better person. I want him to. I don't want him to be like Maury style and be like, "You're the dad," and I want him to own up to it. But I want him to own it, and for Scott's sake, I want him to be able to talk to him and say, hey, here's exactly how it happened. Here's why I didn't know, or whatever the case is. And I think it's just good for both parties.
Just fill in some blanks. Somebody said, does Scott have any siblings he grew up with, and Levi either? Do you guys either grow up with any siblings?
I have a sister that's 10 years older than I am, so we spent a little bit of time in the house together.
Okay.
My adoptive parents weren't supposed to be able to have children, and they had my sister. It was really miraculous sort of thing, and they're like, well, forget it, you're not going to have another one.
Yeah.
So they actually started the adoption process like a year or two after my sister was born, and it just took them that long to kind of get through the system and get to the point where they called up, say, hey, we got a baby boy for you, and they came and grabbed me. But
yeah, and I do have a younger sister, so she's up to breast on this, and I actually brought her in. After Scott had contacted me on Facebook, I said, so this happened. And I think she took it a little harder because she'll kill me for saying this, but she's a little closer with Dad, a little more of a daddy's girl.
Mm-hmm.
Put Dad a little, girls. Put Dad a little bit higher on a pedestal. And I think Ashley, my sister, her first instinct was, did he know? Did this happen while we were in the mix? Did it happen in between us? That kind of thing. And so her mind immediately went that way, and so mine did a little bit, but I think hers more so.
Excellent. Chubbs, you want me to do this right now?
I want to before 8 o'clock.
Okay, he wants me to do this right now.
Oh boy.
Is there anything else we need to say before we open the official DNA test envelope and find out if you guys are brothers, or
I'm
going to
be honest, if it's not,
I'll be surprised.
But also, we met obviously to do the swabs and all that stuff. He's a good dude. I think we'll be friends no matter what.
All right,
Just such a tease. Just open it up.
Oh, this is good. It's got big black letters.
So
on
this is the one I want?
That's the one you want to read.
This is the one I want.
The other one's like scientific.
This one says, you guys, 99.9% accuracy, Levi and Scott, you are brothers.
All right.
Congratulations, guys.
All right.
That is so cool to find out. I mean, you've got it's got to be such a weird feeling. I mean, because I've got my brother and my sisters and stuff, and it would be so cool to find out other brothers. I met years ago, probably 10 or 15 years ago, I got to meet some older half brothers that I had that I didn't know about that my dad introduced me to down in Los Angeles, and it's so cool to just meet somebody and know like we share, physical stuff. We're
awesome.
we're kind of the same.
Oh, that's the best thing. A lot of my adoptive family, they were all really dark hair, 5'4" tops. So you see all the family pictures, and there's hi, I'm in the background.
You're the outcast.
Head higher than anybody else, and it's seeing
That's going to be awesome.
I mean, I had no doubt, but it's good to hear, and I like hearing that it's 99.9. I didn't want to hear 98 point something, because then that's
where there's that little
that's scary.
Exactly. So what's the next step then? Is the next step getting a hold of Dad and letting him know he has another son according to science?
There's a lot of family that's going to be told here.
Maybe a few dozen beers first.
Yeah,
and then
right. And then pictures, Facebook posts.
Get it out there.
Let's just go for it.
Yeah. That is awesome. Well, gentlemen, thanks so much for letting us be a part of it, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a fun roller coaster ride to kind of follow and get to see you guys come together. And I'm so glad that you guys, another person, and you've each got a brother now. So
In town, even.
In town,
That was the craziest part. He's in
have-
Billings. No way. He's in Billings. No way.
He's here, and you guys are brothers. So he said, I'm crying. I'm so happy for those boys. I am adopted, and I would love to have some of my original family there. Somebody else says, congrats. Chesty said, that's awesome. And someone else says, rigged. If it's rigged, it's that damn DNA company that did it.
I want my $150.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If it's rigged, why do I have sweaty armpits?
No kidding.
Somebody said they even kind of sound the same. That's awesome. So people are hearing it over the radio even. Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
Levi,
so much.
Scott, thanks for letting us be a part of it, and congratulations on the new brothers.
Appreciate
right.
You've
that.
each got one. It's great.
The Big J Show. Weekday mornings from 6 till 10 on Billings' #1 hit music station, Hot 101.9.